Right, good morning, welcome back. Now today, as the title says, oil and filter change, Honda CB1300. Let's go. Now I have done untold amounts of oil change videos on numerous different bikes on this channel over the last 15 years, so there'll be no revelations today, nothing new to see here. But if you've got a Honda CB1300, then you're naturally going to search that model specific. So that's why we do these again. If you haven't got a CB13, then this video probably won't mean much use to you unless you just want to watch it for entertainment, which of course we appreciate. So I'll stick this in the playlist titled Mechanical and Servicing, and you can stick it in your saved bank, and if you've got a CB1300 or even if you buy one in the future, maybe this video will help you. So after furnishing yourself with the tools and equipment for the job, then next comes the opening task of draining the old oil out, and along with it that old-fashioned debate of do you drain it out hot or cold. Now we made a dedicated video to just that exact question, and I'll leave a link to that video below if you want to enjoy watching it through and maybe cast an opinion in the comments. But for today, just briefly, the opinions are that if you heat it right up to working temperature, it gets runny and it all drains out better. Well, modern multi-grade oils don't really get runny when they get up to working temperature. They're not meant to. They're designed to stay in grade. Multi-grade oils are good at that. So when it's working temperature, it's not a lot runnier than when it's cold. So there's no real benefit in that whatsoever. Another side of that debate says that if it's stone cold and you've left it overnight, then all the oil has drained down into the sump. So it's all there, it's all collected. There's nothing stuck up around the top left to drain. So if you just drop the drain plug out, it drops all that oil straight out and you get more of it. But then the argument is that you're going to get a sediment overnight at the bottom of that quantity of oil, and that's thick and sludgy. So when you just take the drain plug out and dump it, does that thick sludge come out, or does it get caught in the ripples in the sump, which they all inevitably have? So do you get all the oil out if it's absolutely stone cold and been sat there? Another side of it. But the third opinion in that debate was that warming the oil slightly meant that you mobilized the oil, you mobilized that sludge, and you distributed it evenly throughout the oil, but it didn't have to be absolutely red hot because there was no benefit. So I think we pretty much all agreed on that. Fire the engine up, get it warm through just a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, then switch it off, let it settle for a few minutes, and then dump it. And I think we've pretty much all agreed on that. So that today is what I'm going to do with this one. Right, something that might not be obvious, start with a pristine, spotlessly clean drain pan, because that way, if you drain the oil out and you find any debris in there, you know it's from your engine and you know you have a problem. If you have a drain tray, like I've seen in some garages, full of old debris from several jobs, then when you drain the oil out, if you find something floating around in there, goodness knows where it's from. Just common sense. And while we're on the common sense tips, loosen off your filler cap, and that allows air in when the oil's draining out, prevents a vapor lock. Right. 17mm ring spanner on the sump plug. Well, there's something rather interesting. No drain plug magnet whatsoever on this bike. Nothing to collect passing swarf, which is interesting because you'd think Hondas would engineer every possible safety feature into their motors, but not in this case. No magnet at all. You get magnets on Harley engines. You could also argue that Hondas don't make swarf. They're better made. Harley Davidsons definitely make swarf. Right, now while that's draining, we'll change the oil filter, and some oil filters are difficult and challenging to get to, and some are not so bad. This particular one, well, I think that's arguably the most accessible oil filter I've ever seen. It's right there. You can literally get your fist right round it. So just for a bit of fun, rather than using a tool to undo it, I'm see if I can undo it with my hand. And if you're going to try and do that, there's a couple of little things that will make it easier. You might actually achieve it. All right, start with a clean dry glove that hasn't got oil on it. Clean the filter off with something that will degrease it. This is IPA. Just squirt some on it, give it a good clean so you can get a good grip of it without it being slippy. Nope. Right, 2 hands. Got it. Nice. There, just a bit of fun and nonsense. Couldn't quite get it with one hand, but a second grip got it. Wasn't too tight. Nice. Right, a couple of tips of experience if you're going to use a torque wrench to do up your sump plug. First of all, get your torque settings from the correct service manual for your bike and be absolutely sure that you've got the right torque setting, because it is critical. That's why you're using a torque wrench, because if you over tighten it and you strip off that thread in there, then you're in a world of pain. You truly are. And something else that's easy to get wrong if you're not paying attention is with a micrometer torque wrench, you have both foot-pounds and Newton meters listed on either side of the shaft, and they are way different. And it's easy to get that wrong if you're not paying attention. If you look in your manual, it says, I want 25 Newton meters. So you set it at 25, but say you've accidentally done that on the foot-pound side, because 25 foot-pounds, which you've accidentally set it at, is about 39 Newton meters. You've way over-tightened the torque wrench, and when you go for it, waiting for your click, you've stripped your sump plug. And again, you're in that horrible world of pain. So with torque wrench practice, take every care you can. You can't be too careful. Vaseline around it already. Right, now I've said this many times about not over tightening oil filters. This little rubber O-ring that lives around the top, it sits in a little metal groove. And when you wind the filter in, you touch the engine, you wait till it makes contact, and at that point, it is 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. That's all it needs, 1/2 to 3/4. That's it. And that little rubber O-ring will then get squashed into its groove. It will expand and seal. And as long as you've done it that way, 1/2 to 3/4, it won't leak and it won't come undone. Trust me. Wash the oil off my gloves. There we go. That's all it needs. Right, now when you've topped the oil up to what looks like the right level, remember when you start the engine, it's going to fully fill the oil filter. That's going to reduce the level, and of course it's going to get all up around the engine. So watch your oil light when you first fire it up. Make sure the oil light goes out within 5 seconds. If it doesn't and the oil light stays on, switch it off quickly and double check the oil level before you actually run the engine to warm the oil round. Right, nothing at all on that sight glass after that little run up, so it just goes to show how important it is when you've topped the oil up to run it, then reset it a second time. Perfect. There we are, engine oil and filter change. Probably the simplest servicing task you can ever carry out on your bike. It's as easy as that. Now when you look at any garage or dealership charging for an engine oil and filter change, roughly 50% of the price will be the oil and the filter and any other little gaskets, and the other half of the price will be labour. So if you do this sort of work yourself, you're going to save half the price of that oil change, and that's money that you can spend on things like brake pads and tyres and other consumables that your bike will use, and it just makes it all the more manageable. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.